Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, K-Funk, thinking right out here in the lab. What I do, what I do for you. Oh, I got some more good stuff for it. It just gets better as I go. I'm having fun. Hope you're enjoying it. Let's do what we do. Rightism, 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message. Message in the story for life. I'm giving life lessons. Y'all tuning and receiving them. We got a good thing going. Let's rock. Right thinkers mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinkers' way of life through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. That's my mission, to get all right thinkers to do just that. Oh, I got all the stuff I need to do just that for you. Stay tuned. I got you. Let's rock. I asked the question, do you know you? It's rhetorical, but if you don't have an answer for yourself, stay tuned. I can help you with that. That's what I do for you. Help you to know you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got something for you. A person who knows not and thinks and believes that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. That's okay. I can awaken them. I'm a spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinker, know that self. And to my girl, Maya, be true. No premature Maya representation there, but it's all good. Got to give her her due. You should too. Right thinkers. I've been getting a lot of good stuff out here. This one I think gonna be good for you. Let's talk about myths. Myths, the esoteric language of wisdom. hmm And we're gonna go over definition of myth. I'm gonna break it down, explain it to you. Hopefully you get the message, but this is gonna be a nice little lesson. Let's go. Myths, the hidden language of wisdom. In ancient Egyptian spirituality, the teaching of the goddess is closely related to what? Myth. There are two specific myths in which the goddess Aset is specifically highlighted. These myths must be what? Understood before the mystical philosophical teachings may be what? Understood. In order to begin our journey of what? Self-discovery, aka know thyself, we need to know the origins of what? The mystical wisdom. Where did it come from, who did it come from, and what's the purpose of it? Watch this. Now it comes from what? The glorious myth of the goddess. This contain, watch this, excuse me. These contain what? Profound mystical teachings. For who? For those who know how to what? Decode the myths and their psycho-mythological purpose. A myth is a story to give across a message. It's sending you a message, the understanding that put it in a mythological form is easier to understand. It's like breaking down a fraction, simplifying it so you can understand it now. Okay. These are important keys to reading mythology, excuse me. We're gonna break it down for you right here. It says first, what is myth? Well, no, let's hear what the defined people say. First, we must begin what? By gaining what? A deeper understanding of what mythology is. And then to what? Understand its purpose is to educate, to enlighten. With what? Now, with this understanding, we may then what? Undertake the study of the Osirian myth or any other mythical story and be able to what? Understand what? The psycho spiritual implications which are being imparted through the myth. Follow with me. Here we go. Now let's take the American Heritage Dictionary defines myth as follows. 1. A traditional story presenting supernatural beings, ancestors, or heroes that serve as a primordial types in a primitive view of the world. We give you a story to get you to understand it. The second one is number 2. They say a fictitious or imaginary story, person or thing, something made up. Yeah, but for and with a purpose to what? Enlighten, to educate. Just like that book. Moving on. Last one. A false belief. That definition sounds a little biased to me. Remember, myths are to tell a story. False belief is if you follow a belief system that's either misunderstood, corrupted, or mispracticed. That's a false belief. Don't get me started. I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna move on. But let's go. I ain't gonna start right. I almost got into something. Let me keep moving, doing my thing. Now, the American Heritage Dictionary defines mythology as follows. This is their definition, not mine, not ours. Theirs. A body of myths about the origin and history of a people. Okay, ain't that what the Bible do? I'm just saying. The next one, number 2, is the study of myths. Okay, when you study something, it's to learn it. But when you manifest the results for yourself, that's what the power and the purpose of the myth. Just like the belief system. When you follow a belief system, you will be rewarded. Simple. Okay. So a myth can make you or put you in the right position to what? Do things you need to do to earn your blessing. It's the same thing. These are lessons. And they're what? Hidden. So it's not for everybody. The general public get the exoteric. The real people get the esoteric. Right thinkers, we always deal in the esoteric. I don't have time for the exoteric. Yeah, I got enough people teaching you that. So let's go. It's always esoteric with me, hidden, the underlying secrets. Now, the Random House Encyclopedia, they have a definition for mythology. It follows, let's read it. Mythology, a body of myths or traditional stories dealing with gods and legendary heroes. That sound like that book. I'm just saying. But y'all don't call it that. The reason why I'm saying it's not the book because this is what mythology is. This is what it is. The mythology of people serves to what? Present their world view, their explanations of nature, of natural phenomena. In the beginning, God was the word is with God, and okay, so everybody has a mythological story about creation. Why? Nobody was there. So anybody can say they witnessed it, so it's all mythological, theological. Let's go. Concepts. But their religious and other beliefs. Okay, here you go. The mythology of people serves as present their worldviews, their explanations of nature, of natural phenomena, their religious and other beliefs. Watch this. They still did it in belief. Mythological literature includes the Greek Iliad, the Odyssey. Those are all books written, watch this, about people who live or didn't. Then you got the Scandinavians, they got Edda, and you got the Indians, they got the Ramayana, and the Babylonians had the Gilgamesh, among others. Everybody has a mythological story to teach, a concept that y'all at the time the culture people can go with. Various interpretations of mythology have been made by who? Anthropologists, how they know, such as Sir James Frazer and Claude Levi Strauss, and he the Jeans Man. In literature, myth have been used as the basis for what? Poetry, story, playwrights, and other writings. In relation to mythology, we have another term used as epic, or it was epic in, what's this? The American Heritage Dictionary defines an epic as one, a long narrative poem that celebrates episodes of a person's heroic tradition. Sound a little braggadocious, but okay, that's epic according to the American Heritage Dictionary. Let's read down here, see what the Encarta Funkin' Wagner Encyclopedia defines as epic. Epic, a long narrative poem, majestic both in theme and style. Epics deal with what? Legendary or historical events of national or universal significance. Okay. Involving action of broad sweep and grandeur. Okay. Most epics deal with exploits of a single individual. Okay, we got the hero's journey. It's about your soul going through life. You got to be your own hero. So thereby it giving what? Unity to the composition. Typically, an epic involves the introduction of supernatural forces. Luke used the force that shape the action, conflict, or the form of battles, or either physical combat, and certain stylistic convictions and invocation to a muse or formal statement of the theme. Long list of protagonists involved and set of speeches couched in elevated language. Commonplace details of everyday life may appear, but they serve as background for the story. Epic, and are described in the same lofty style as the rest of the poem. I'm not going to give my opinion on that. That's the definition. I'm moving on. These definitions have been included here to what? Give you a reference as to what society, at large, especially where in the West, has accepted as the definition and purpose of mythological and epic literature. Now we will explore, here you go, the initiatic, yogic, mystical meaning of mythology, because that was a bunch of, as my man would say, hooey. But that's their definition. I go, okay, I ain't arguing that. I don't subscribe. Again, I don't subscribe or agree to it, but that's theirs, and I just read it, so moving on. First, however, one more definition is required. Really? What is that? We need to understand what a metaphor is. You know, told us about the epic, and I ain't particular. Let's see what they say about metaphor. The American Heritage Dictionary, again, Heritage Dictionary, defines metaphor as follows: a figure of speech in which a term that ordinarily designates an object or idea is used to used to designate, man, my tongue got tied, to designate or dissimilar object in order to what? Suggest the comparisons or the analogy, as in the phrase of evening of life. Okay? Pretty much saying the same thing in different words. Okay, we understand that. But watch this. This is their definition. So let's read a mythical mythology is much like a metaphor in that its stories and characters are designed to provide a reference towards something other than the story itself. Get the hidden meaning. All my stories aren't mythological. Why? They're my real life stories. So that's the difference, and that's what makes it right thinking. I'm not using all these characters. I use myself for most of my analogies to make my mythological concepts fit. Okay, but what this means that what there is an exoteric, a heading meaning, okay, which what refers to the events and the circumstances in the story, but which may or may not have a basis in fact and also in esoteric or what? Mystical meaning, which refers to a deeper teaching or message which transcends the boundaries of the events in the story, giving it real understanding and meaning, not just the blow. No, give it make sense, okay? Through a myth. Watch this. Many ideas which are not easily explained in rational, logical terms can now be freely explored and elicited in what? In imaginative and colorful ways. The Greeks famous for what? Mythological stories. Everything they did was based on the myth, but to teach and have a philosophy that they can set forth based on the myths. Where do you think they got that from? Mystical myths, watch this, are particularly important. Why? Because their purpose is what? To point to where the answers to what? The most important questions of every individual may be found. Everyone is searching for what? Answers to questions like what? Who am I really? Is this all that I am? Where do I come from? And what is my purpose in life? Everybody seems to look for a purpose in life. They all claim we have one, and we do. When you find that purpose, do you act on it? Do you fulfill it? You just know this is a purpose, and you just go with that. Okay. Knowing it and acting on it, two different things. Watch this. But through myths, the teachings of sages and saints can what? Can take full flight, free of constraints of what? Normal literature writing. Therefore, myths are an idea or concept ways to what? Impart spiritual truths, which will what? Transcend ordinary human experiences. When you live spiritual discipline, things will happen at a whole nother level that only you, the person, would appreciate. That's how he worked through every individual who works with him. The essence of creation, and therefore of each individual human being, is what? Transcendental. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. During this human experience, something should happen. Find your purpose. Know thyself. It transcends what? The ordinary bounds of what? Mental perception and understanding. However, all human experiences occur where? Outside there? Well, no, in the mind. So, therefore, the heart of all human experiences, be they pain or pleasure, is rooted in the AKA psyche. So, the purpose, the true purpose of all our spiritual beings having human experience is the purpose of the the purpose of mythology is to what? Bridge that gap between what? The limited human mind, the ego mind, and that which transcends all higher consciousness, God. Thus, mythology must be understood in the light of its psychological, and mystical implications. So here we will introduce a new term. You ready? Psychomythology. Something to help the psychic, something to get you to think about, something to increase your understanding and knowledge of who? Yourself. Let's go. I'm almost there. The study of mythology, the study of mythological stories is important. Why? In order to gain insight to what? Your psychomythology or your psychological implications of mythology for what? Your psycho spiritual transformation of the individual, which what? Which leads to the attainment of spiritual enlightenment. Will I be? Mhm. Enlightenment implies, listen, enlightenment implies the attainment of an expanded state of consciousness. I mean, you learned something. You just expanded your consciousness. You just expanded your knowledge of something by what? Being enlightened. My goal is to do just that. Sorry, I feel excited. And expanded state of consciousness termed what? As, you ready for this? Dilation or expansion of what? The heart, conscious. In ancient Egyptian yoga philosophy, watch this, in which there is a full and perfect awareness of what? One's existence beyond the mind and body. That's the enlightenment. That's the nihas. So the term is psycho as it is used here, must be understood as far, watch this, far more than simply that which refers to the mind. Psycho must be understood to mean everything that constitutes the human consciousness in all of its stages and states of consciousness. Therefore, psycho implies what? The conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious workings of your mind. All three stages, all three phases. Mythology refers to what? The codes, the hidden messages, and ideas, directives, and beliefs, etc. That what? That affect what? Your psychic through what? The conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious aspects of the mind of what? Every individual, specifically who? Those who affects, which result in what? Psycho spiritual transformation, going from ignorance to enlightened state, and that is a what? Transpersonal. Every individual have to do that for themselves. Or transcendental change where in the personality of that individual, which will what? Which leads to the discovery of what? The transcendental reality of existence. Again, know himself to be one with God. Wrapping it up. A myth should never a myth, listen to me good. I'm talking to my Christian Bible thumpers for this one. A myth should never be understood or be taken literally. This would be like, watch this. To take a myth or that book that y'all study and love so much, to take it literally, watch this, is like going to a movie theater to see a fictional movie or reading a fantasy novel and what? Believing it is real. Get the point? Get the concept? Let me go. Now, let's take it home. Yet, as a movie or a novel may be based on, listen, real events and carry an important message which is being imparted. Again, that's the purpose of the myth. Mine is just that. My stories are my real life stories. They're not mythological stories, but they're meant to make a point and get you to understand. I'm giving you wisdom and knowledge and understanding from my perspective, and I'm giving it to you. And watch this. Through the medium of what? You got your actors, you have a plot, and so on. But mystical myths, again, mystical myths are not to be understood as being completely baseless, nor as having been put together purely for what? Entertainment. No, this ain't for your entertainment. This is for your mental and spiritual understanding and growth. To be spiritually enlightened, this ain't entertaining. I don't entertain. Myths are what? Symbols which what? Speak to people in a symbolic way. It's all between the ears. This psychological, this psychological language is speaking to your psyche, okay? A myth can what? Lead people to what? Understand, and when it's practiced, experience the transcendental truth for themselves, which what cannot easily be expressed in words. You don't speak it, you experience it. That's God in a nutshell. We can talk about it, we can share what he do, but you have to have your own personal transformation experience with him for yourself. That's my goal as the master right thinker. I want all right thinkers to experience God for themselves. That's this lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. That's the power of the myth. We use myth to get you to where we need you to be. Understanding things from a psychological standpoint. The psychic, remember, is all mental. I'll be back.